guilty to murder receives his sentence. The details just ahead. And we'll show you how a woman helping the homeless receive a message of hate respond with love. Plus, this morning we learned of a ballistic attack against Ukraine just a day after the U.S. closed the embassy in Kiev.
And I'm sure if you stepped out the door this morning, you've said to yourself, it is cold out there. Well, we're going to have a couple more cold mornings before we start warming up this weekend. And we're going to talk about that and more and weather coming up.
And Victoria West tennis team had 6 players make it to districts this season. I'll highlight that and more coming up in sports.
Good morning. You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. I am Amaya Norman filling in for Carolina Estrón.
And I'm Parker Cox. Today is Thursday. It's a terrific Thursday, a little bit chilly Thursday
chilly
as well.
Thursday.
It's about 6:30. But if you're all going to be going out the door this morning, I'm sure if you stepped in, yeah, she's doing it.
It's cold.
I've been doing that all morning. It is a little bit cold out there this morning. We are all in the 30s, believe that. For November, it's finally looking like November. But don't worry, if you like the front that came through yesterday morning, we may have another one coming next week, and we're going to look at that later on Sunrise. But right now, if you're tuning in with us, you've got a beautiful sunrise on your screen right now over Victoria, where it is a little bit chilly, like I said, 38 degrees. So I would recommend a jacket if you're going to go see that sunrise or if you're driving off to work. 70% humidity out there, that's pretty nice and comfortable, and that's actually going to continue dropping today with dew points dropping to the teens. We'll look at that later as well because temperatures all across the crossroads, we're all looking at the mid and upper 30s this morning. Just about an hour ago, we were looking at low 30s for some, but winds, that's also with us right now. A little bit of a light to calm wind right now. But with a little bit of a wind, that's bringing a slight wind chill out there, bringing us a little bit chillier. And actually, about an hour ago, we were at 28 to 27 degrees for the wind chill. But clear skies over us right now is allowing our temperatures to rise right back up to the sky, letting our lows cool off. But there's another system coming next week. Like I said, we're going to look at that later because today, if you're sending your kids out the door, packing for that cold morning, but a beautiful afternoon. We'll look at that next.
Ukraine says Russia launched an intercontinental ballistic missile overnight targeting Dnipro city in the central east of the country. The first time Moscow has used such a missile in the war. It wasn't clear what exactly type of missile was fired, but Ukraine Air Forces said in a statement on a telegram Thursday that it was launched from Russia's airstrike in regions. The development comes as the war has taken on a growing international dimension with the arrival of North Korean troops to help Russia on the battlefield. Victoria Police investigates a shooting on Regency Avenue. Around noon Wednesday, officers were called to the 200 block of Regency Avenue for gunshots. They say an apparent altercation took place, but the time officers arrived, those involved had already left to seek medical attention at the hospital. VPD remained at the scene on Regency Avenue and Citizens Medical Centers for most of the afternoon. Police have not yet released details about the extent of injuries or the conditions of those involved. In Calhoun County, a teenager pleaded guilty to a murder back in January. The Port Lavaca Wave reports 18-year-old Frank Sandoval was sentenced to 30 years in state prison. The agreement includes that Sandoval writes a letter to the family of 17-year-old Xavion Izquierdo, the murder victim. The letter explains the event of the murder and his remorse for the crime. 3 other people were arrested in connections with the crime. An advocate for Victoria homeless is calling out racist vandalism targeting her family. The video you see is her response to those hateful messages, which is we are not showing you. Kim Paxton is the director of the Humanity Project. She posted on social media about hateful messages left on the organization East Crestwood building. The vandal includes photos of her late husband who died in 2019. Pickens called the act a hate crime and vows to seek justice.
I've been confused by the messaging because, like I said, I didn't know if they were trying to scare away people of color, if they were, if they were trying to, just be ugly.
The Humanity Project continues its work supporting the homeless while police investigates the graffiti incident. A documentary about Victoria resilience after a hate crime is earning international acclaims. A town called Victoria just snagged a nomination for Best Limited Series by the International Documentary Association, co-produced by Victoria native Anthony Pedon. The series dives into the aftermath of 2017 mosque arson fire and highlights how the community came together to rebuild. It is a story of the unity that's now capturing global attention. Winners will be announced next month. And that leads us to your viewer poll for this morning. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen to take part. We want to know, have you seen the documentary, A Town Called Victoria? Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate in our viewer poll. So far, 14% of you say yes and 86% of you say no. The Victoria ISD Board of Trustees meets today at 6 p.m. at the Administration Building. On the agenda, casting votes for the Victoria Central Appraisal District Board of Directors, approving a resolution for increased public school funding, discussing and possibly approving the hiring and contract of a new superintendent. Sheila Cayazo is the deputy superintendent at the Sumrest ISD near San Antonio. She was named lone finalist for the superintendent role in mid-October. Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The Cedar City Council deals with water plant violations, and the 5th annual Native exhibit opens next week. You can read these full stories and more on portlavacawave.com. The United States said Wednesday that its embassy in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, had closed after receiving specific information of a potential significant air attack. The U.S. said in a scrutiny alert that out an abundance of cautions, the embassy will be closed, and embassy employees are being instructed to shelter in place, recommending U.S. citizens to take shelter if an air alert is announced. Shutting the embassy is not an unusual move in the war, which reached its 1,000th day Tuesday. But the renewed threat to Kiev follows Ukraine's first strike on Russia territory with U.S.-supplied long-range weapons, raising fears of Russia's retaliation. Now to Dallas in a major decision in the case of a former police officer who shot and killed an unarmed man inside his own home. Turns out the officer was in the wrong apartment. Now she is being ordered to pay up.
This morning, the family of Botham Jean, the Dallas man shot and killed by an off-duty police officer while he was eating ice cream in his own home, has been awarded nearly $100 million.
I am still heartbroken over the loss of my son, but today I think justice was served.
Back in 2018, Dallas patrol officer Amber Geiger says she entered an apartment one floor up from hers, mistakenly believing it was her home. She says she encountered Jean, a 26-year-old accountant, and thought he was an intruder. Fearing for her life, she shot him twice in the chest.
I wish he was the one with the gun that killed me. I never wanted to take an innocent person's life.
Geiger was initially charged with manslaughter, not murder, triggering protests.
No justice!
Prosecutors relented, and at her murder trial, Geiger claimed she was tired that night after a long day at work. The jury didn't buy her argument, and she was sentenced to 10 years in prison, although far short of the 28 years prosecutors had requested. Now a ruling in the civil trial. A jury yesterday awarded Jean's family $98 million in damages. Geiger did not have a lawyer present, her former attorney saying she couldn't afford one, making it unlikely the Jean family will ever see even a fraction of that nearly 9-figure settlement.
Never been about money. It's about accountability. It's about the value of a life.
Geiger was up for parole last month but was denied, but she's eligible again in 2026. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
In a case that became a flashpoint in the immigration debate, the man accused of killing Georgia nursing student Laken Riley was found guilty of murder Wednesday. Following a 4-day bench trial, Athens Clark County Superior Court Judge H. Patrick Haggard handed down the decision, finding 26-year-old Jose Antonio Ibarra guilty on 3 counts of felony murder. Ibarra waived his right to a jury trial and did not testify in his own defense. He faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. Remember to follow us on YouTube, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Time now is 6:39 on your Thursday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. The bell will soon be ringing. Now, how one local charity is preparing for their annual holiday tradition.
Perry Russell in Washington. We are now hearing from Matt Gaetz as he looks to win over support from Republican senators. That story coming up.
And also coming up next after the break in the full forecast, it's going to be another lovely day all across beautiful Texas. I'll tell you how nice I think it's going to be near you. But if you liked yesterday's front, take another one, and we're going to look at that.
The debate over incorporation is heating up in Bloomington with an election May 3rd. Residents are raising concerns about the push to incorporate the town.
Well, my hopes are that we can go ahead and try to rule the town ourselves and not let corporations come in here and tell us what to do.
What does it mean for the community? Join 25 News Now Sunrise anchor Carolina Astrain for Bloomington Boundaries, a 25 News Now Extra, Thursday night at 10.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. You're looking live in Cuero. That sun's starting to come up. You can see plenty clear out there, and it's also still plenty chilly out there, sitting at 36 degrees in Cuero. That's pretty cold to me, if you ask me. I'm a warm weather kind of guy. But dew point's about 5 degrees off, bringing humidity to 84%. So just a tad bit humid out there, but it is going to be not humid this afternoon. Very dry, dry, dry. And with it being so dry, even up in the upper atmosphere, I'm pressing play on the future cloud and radar. You can see there's not going to be a cloud in the sky all day today. With that beaming sun, it's going to bring us another lovely day, just like yesterday. I'm thinking mid-70s for everybody. 75 right in the money here in Victoria, about the exact same thing at Cuero today for the high, I'm thinking. And I'm thinking 73, maybe even 72 for today's high down on the coast in Port Lavaca. But under clearer skies continuing tonight, we're going to drop back down into the low and mid 40s tonight for lows. Lows that might reach the upper 30s for some, but under more sunny skies tomorrow. We're going to be another nice day tomorrow. Not as nice as today, but I'm thinking mid and upper 70s for the highs tomorrow. But like I was just saying, it is going to be dry, 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 dry. We're talking dew points down to the teens for today, rising to the 20s for tomorrow. And I know what you're thinking. I've been saying this all morning. It's going to be chilly out there. It's great campfire weather. Well, I'm going to advise against it because we're still under a stage 2, even some under a stage 3 drought out there. And with that dry conditions, we're expecting just a tad bit of fire weather. So just please, please be careful with an open flame. But as we go into this weekend, we're going to warm back up before another front next week. And we'll look at that coming up next.
Now this season we've covered a lot of football, volleyball, and basketball action, but one sport that we haven't covered that much is tennis here. And Victoria West High School had a great year placing multiple people in districts just 1 month ago. Here's more about how this team exceeded expectations under first-year head coach Crystal Blazak.
Now, the past couple of months, we've been talking about football, volleyball, and basketball here in the Crossroads. But one sport that we haven't been talking about is tennis. And one program that's done really well this season is Victoria West, who got district runner-ups and by-district champs there under first-year head coach Crystal Blazak. She describes how it felt coaching this team this season.
And we were new to the district, so we didn't know exactly. We kind of went the Houston way, so we didn't know what those schools would look like. But my expectations were, once I saw the team hit, this is my first year here, and I saw them hit, I thought, wow, they can really do good things. And they came out and they performed and they did well.
One of the star athletes this season on the tennis squad is senior McKenna Spencer, who talks about what this team has meant to her.
We've had to develop a very good program, and we have developed a very good program here over these last 4 years. We have a bunch of players who really have come together, and we have been like a family, and I have known most of the team for 4 years. Most of us are seniors here, and just getting to know everyone and how everybody plays.
Besides Spencer being one of the top players on the tennis team, they also had a couple other placers there from districts. They had some first-team honors in Anthony Garcia, Capiche Chen, Alexis Lilly, and Biara Sauce. And they had one second-teamer in Natalie Hughes, all there getting placed there in districts. But with all these placers all in mind, Blazek still wants to get all of them prepared heading into the off-season.
Conditioning now kind of in the fall, and then I take them, when we transfer into the spring, it's more of an individual season, kind of like track. So we get to work kind of more one-on-one, small groups versus the team aspect that we just got done with in the fall. So I like to kind of break it down and work with them a little bit more one-on-one or into smaller groups.
Now, before the team moves to the offseason, they will host a fundraiser tomorrow night at the West Tennis Courts from 5:30 to 6:30. Come out to support these athletes and everything they do so they can get some more spirit wear and other gear heading into next season.
This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
Experience our digital streaming service Crossroads Today Plus. Stream our daily newscasts and much more using your connected TV. Just download Crossroads Today Plus on your Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or Android TV. Search Crossroads Today Plus. This morning, the congressional report on an investigation into Matt Gaetz will not be released to the public, at least for now. The bipartisan Housing Ethics Committee voting yesterday to keep that report private.
This morning, former Congressman Matt Gaetz speaking out on his ongoing meetings with senators as he looks to rally support amid his controversial nomination to be the next Attorney General.
The senator's been giving me a lot of good advice. I'm looking forward to a hearing. Folks have been very supportive. They've been saying we're going to get a fair process.
The bipartisan House Ethics Committee voting to not release its report on Gaetz and allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use, allegations Gaetz denies. Republican Congressman Michael Guest is the chairman of the committee.
There was not an agreement by the committee to release the report.
Democrats on the committee say they want the report released, highlighting it's the Republicans who do not.
I do not want the American public or anyone else to think that Mr. Guest's characterization of what transpired today would be some sort of indication that the committee had unanimity or consensus.
President-elect Trump is standing by Gaetz. A senior Trump advisor telling ABC News they will work to end the political careers of any Republican who votes against Trump's nominees, saying, if you are on the wrong side of the vote, you're buying yourself a primary, that is all. And there's a guy named Elon Musk who was going to finance it. Republican Senator Eric Schmidt says Trump will get the cabinet he wants.
But I'm pretty confident that Matt Gaetz is going to get through. I think all the president's nominees are going to get through.
Senator Lindsey Graham met with Gaetz and says Gaetz will be held to account, adding Gaetz deserves a chance to make his argument on why he should be the next Attorney General. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
The Salvation Army of Victoria kicks off its Christmas Red Kettle campaign Wednesday night. They are celebrating 135 years of the kettlebells tradition. David Murphy, owner and operator of Victoria Chick-fil-A restaurant, announced the red kettles will be on all Chick-fil-A locations the week of December 9th through the 16th. Chick-fil-A will donate 20% of every purchase on the Chick-fil-A app to the Salvation Army. The red kettles will also be at all Victoria Walmart, Sam's Club, Hobby Lobby, and some Walgreens.
That the community understands that ringing the bell it's not only nostalgic, but it is steeped in the history of the United States.
The Red Kettle campaign begins in Victoria this Friday and it runs through Christmas Eve. The time is now 6:48, still to come on Sunrise. One major search engine could be forced to seal their popular browser Amaya antitrust lawsuit. Stay tuned for the details.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. I'm sure you heard me talk about all morning long. What is the second cold front I was talking about? Because we just had one yesterday, right? Well, you heard me correctly. There's another one, I think, coming our way real soon. We'll look at that right after this, because the first front that came through yesterday morning came off of this gigantic upper level low. You can see spinning counterclockwise right over the Great Lakes region this morning. But the second front that we've been talking about all morning and all week long is this one. It's coming off this monstrous low that is over there. It's an upper level low pressure system that's over the East Pacific, and it's interacting with the western coast. You can actually see right here. This right here in the meteorology world is what we call an atmospheric river. What that is it's dumping all sorts of rain all over parts of Northern California, as you can see here just north of San Francisco, where they're seeing up to 2 feet of rain, 2 feet. Feet, not inches, feet of rain and several inches of snow. And actually that's prompting several winter warnings to be issued on the western coast. We're talking blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings, wind chill warnings, freeze warnings. When pretty much every kind of winter warning that you could expect was out there either today or yesterday. And believe it or not, like I've been saying all morning, that is coming our way. Now, that does not mean, like I said, it's not going to bring a blizzard to the Crossroads. That's like nearly impossible, except for 2021 when that big polar plunge came through. But that big old low you just saw is going to move over the Rockies, and it'll start spitting itself out as we go into early next week. And that'll send the front through our area sometime probably Thanksgiving Thursday, bringing our highs maybe in the 60s. But we're going to look at that and more later on Sunrise.
The U.S. government formally proposed a partial breakup of Google on Wednesday. The Department of Justice urged a federal judge this week to force a sale of the company's Chrome web browser. In their court filing, antitrust enforcer says a spinoff of Chrome could help prevent an illegal monopoly from reoccurring. If approved, the penalties could revelate new of millions of American search for information, and it could potentially disrupt the tight integrations among many of Google's key products and services. Google has promised to appeal. A new survey from Bank Rate says around 53% of Americans said they will need to use Social Security in retirement. Many Americans worry about how their benefits might change since the program is expected to have a revenue shortfall in less than a decade. The survey said among those 60 and older and closest to retiring, 69% say they will rely on Social Security benefits. Residents-elect Donald Trump pledged this summer during a campaign event to eliminate taxes on Social Security payments for seniors. It's unclear if Trump will take an action to resolve the shortfall. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. One senator launched to block an arms sale to Israel. We'll take one last look at what the Senate voted just ahead. Breaking news, the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant on Thursday for Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his former defense minister, and Hamas officials, accusing them of war crimes and crimes against humanity over the war in Gaza and the October 2023 attack that triggered Israel's offensive in the Palestinian territory. The decision turns Netanyahu and the others into international wanted suspect and is likely to further isolate them and complicate efforts to negotiate a ceasefire to end the 13-month conflict. But its particular implications could be limited since Israel is its major ally. The United States are not a member of the court, and several of the Hamas officials have been subsequently killed in the conflict. The Senate has voted not to block a series of planned U.S. weapon sales to Israel. The measure to block the sales was led by Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders. Wednesday, decisions came as scrutiny over U.S. support for Israel's war against Hamas intensified. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza has grown worse amid Israel's ongoing military campaign. The vote highlighted bipartisan support on Capitol Hills for U.S. military assistance to Israel. All three resolutions were rejected by a strong majority in the Senate. A new study finds human-caused climate change made every Atlantic hurricane this year stronger. Researchers from Climate Central shows warmer oceans boost wind speeds by 9 to 28 miles per hour. Without climate change, Hurricane Milton wouldn't have reached Category 5, and Hurricane Debbie and Oscar would have stayed tropical storms between 2019 and 2023. 84% of hurricanes were more intensified due to climate change. The Ward County burn ban goes back into effect as of 12:01 this morning. The recent rain did not help reduce the drought conditions. In Ward County, a ban on outdoor burning in Ward County is now in effect until further notice. We want to invite you to experience our new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. find it on your connected TV through Amazon, Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. Let's take a final look at your weather with meteorologist Parker Cox. Parker.
That's right, Maya. Look at this beautiful sunrise coming over us this morning. But if y'all are going to go see that sunrise this morning, I'm going to recommend the jacket. We're in the low 40s, some in the mid and upper 30s this morning. Quite chilly out there this morning. Looking at all those temperatures, look at that. All kinds of blue on your map this morning. And with a slight wind out there, wind chills are even lower. Some seeing a low 30s, so definitely bundle up if you're going out there this morning. But today, it's going to be another lovely day all across our beautiful state, 70s and 60s, even up in North Texas. But looking a little closer to home, I'm looking for a high of 73, maybe 72 in Port Lavaca. Sunny all day, not a cloud in the sky. 75 for Victoria. And about the exact same thing I'm thinking in Cuero. And lows tonight under the clear sky is going to drop down to low and mid 40s. And I know what you're thinking. I had just read a burn ban notice. I know what you're thinking. Fires. No, don't do that. It's going to be really dry. Please be careful if you're lighting any fires.
Yes, please be careful. No
Definitely.
fires. Well, thank you for being with us this morning. Join Shadon McAlovia and Max today for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. Have a good day.